Well, well, well. Well, well, well. Well, well, well. It's the Sometimes Vlog. It's a vlog that happens sometimes. Welcome back, everybody, to my favorite little city, Orange, California. We're here on the corner of Maple and Pine Street, very near to the Orange Circle, very near to very near. Inside of Old Town Orange, California, the city that rhymes with nothing. Checking out, I guess, woodpecker holes inside of palm trees, and this strange and mysterious concrete tube covered over by a board and some screws. And I'm pretty sure that, well, looky what we have here. Is this a well? I was just thinking that all my friends on the East Coast would probably see this area here, this beautiful house here, that beautiful house over there, this beautiful house over here with all the landscaping, and think, Old Town? That doesn't look very old to me, because if you're like from New Jersey or New York or Massachusetts, you guys have houses that were built in the 1700s, the 1800s, the 1900s. All we have is the last one, and that's pretty much all we have. Most of these houses around here were built at the turn of the last century, and they are, to us Southern Californians, considered very old, very ancient. If you see something that even remotely resembles, could have been a well, might have been an old streetlight for all I know, that's like, wow, something from the before time, something from the long ago, before plumbing and electricity and the Disney Channel. That's amazing. Welcome everybody back to Orange and back to the Sometimes Vlog. Look at this guy up here. Do you see that Time Warner cable guy up there in that bucket right here? He is, I think right now, I was gonna say he's fixing something, but I think at the moment he's actually checking his Twitter and looking at his phone or doing something. He's probably sending cute selfies to his girlfriend like, hey, what's up, babe? I'm up in the bucket again, being brave. And there's this guy down below who's super not brave because he's afraid of heights. Actually, I'd like to correct a misunderstanding. People are always talking about how I'm afraid of heights. I am not afraid of heights, okay? I'm fine with heights. Look at him up there, just being cool, the heights. I'm just afraid of plummeting from the heights, and there is a big difference. I don't mind being up high, I just mind the fear of falling from the being up high. So, anyway, I love this neighborhood. This is one of my favorite neighborhoods and areas in Southern California. Just the little old town here. There's a lot of little craftsman style bungalow houses, and there's a lot of like Spanish Mission Revival architecture and stuff like that down here. That whole turn of the last century architecture. And there's all these little houses like this. Look at this house right here. This is not the birdhouse. Cast your eyes this way. Look at that. Look at this house here. This one has a plaque on the front that says 1900. So I'm assuming that would be the year the house was built. I know that Chapman University, which is very nearby, often helps to restore these houses and gives them little plaques saying what date they were built. I think that one's 1900. All these little houses. Here's a little bungalow looking house here. I don't know the technical names for all this architecture stuff. Look at that wraparound porch though. That is so cool. I actually really like architecture. I really like houses. I spend hours and hours like going like realtor.com and places like that, just looking at all these different houses. A flutterby. Look at that butterfly fluttering by and doing his thing over there. Looking so beautiful and graceful. I just like looking at houses in different spots. I think it started because my parents used to drive around in all kinds of different neighborhoods. They'd go to the rich neighborhoods and all these different areas, or if we went on family vacation, they'd have to go check out all the houses and just look at the way the houses were built and all this stuff. My dad, I think, wanted to be an architect before I came along and switched up all the plans with having a family and all that stuff. I think at one point he wanted to be an architect, so I think it comes from them. But anyway, I am totally distracted. I have totally digressed from my original thought process today. Yesterday morning, I woke a little negatively because I had to be on the phone with a guy that I had some shady business dealings, not from my side, but in my opinion, from his side years ago, who had some disagreements with a whole large group of my friends and me years ago, and I had to get on the phone and kind of relive old drama. Have you ever had to do that? You think something's over. See, this one says 1908, so it must be the year they were built. You ever had old drama? Oh gosh. This is goals. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted now from my own thing. I was like, I'll just take a walk down the street. I've been walking for a couple of miles, and instead of vlogging, I've been looking at this house and that house and thinking, wow, isn't this amazing? Wouldn't you love to live in this house? Until you find out all the plumbing leaks or something like that. You never know. You never know the hidden dangers of a home. There could be termites. Okay, anyway, look at this one. That's obviously 40s or 50s, but look at it with the little lines and the little brick chimney and all that. I love houses. They're so cool. Look at this cute little house. Look at that cute little house. Look at that cute little house right there. It's goals. Anyway, I am out walking around here trying to vlog here because I'm trying to do something a little different than normal. Normally, we're at a theme park, we're at this, we're at that. And I've been kind of trying to, wow, I'm stuttering. I have been kind of trying to mix it up slightly, just a little bit, when I do the vlogs lately. And I thought, today let's go out and do something a little different. And that is the point of today's vlog. When I was talking to this person yesterday, reliving old drama and old trouble, we actually worked it out and it was all fine, because as much as I disagree with this person and disagree with certain things that have happened in old bad business and all this kind of stuff, I think both of us are the kind of people who would rather, you know, like, make each other happy and put this all behind us. Like, no, I'm not talking about my ex or something like that. This is a legitimate, like, a thing from my band in the old days. If you don't know, I used to be in a band, and this is going to be important because I'm going to use this as an analogy a little bit, the musician thing. And I'm not picking on musicians or people in bands, and I'm not saying this applies to every person who's in a band or ever has been in a band or dreams of being in a band. But because that's my experience in life, I'm going to use that as the example because that's my personal path. I was in a band for years and years and years. And I've had many a frustrating deal with record labels and promoters and people who ripped me off and owed me money. And some of these people were great people that never had any bad intent, but they ended up ripping you off, or you ended up having a bad business deal or something like that. And it can affect your friendships, it can affect all these different things. Anyway, I'm talking to this person, we worked it out. Our deal was all squashed and fixed, and we worked it all out and it was okay. But then this person starts talking to me about their personal life, and I couldn't help but notice that this person's personal life and all their stress, and they're talking to me about like a serious mental stress and mental breakdown and how frustrated they are and all this stuff, and I could not help but notice and bring up to the person that this is exactly the same conversation that we had had 5 years previous. And I brought up to this person who runs a record label, have you ever thought about just not running your record label? Have you ever thought about quitting? And after I hung up with this person, there's a whole longer conversation than that, but moving on from there for our purposes, after I hung up, I started thinking about all the years that I spent in a band. My dream was to be in a cool punk rock band. I spent a decade studying theology, studying economics and political theory and all this different stuff, and traveling around and meeting people and being in this band and trying to write good lyrics and trying to write good songs and meeting people, shaking hands, and having interesting conversations and being deep and being thoughtful. And that entire time, I've always been this spazzy person. I always sing everything that I want to talk. Oh my gosh, that Mrs. Claus up here on this porch, this person's porch, just scared the living daylights out of me. I was cool about it, but this Mrs. Claus and this Santa Claus here, I thought were little people, little old people staring at me from the head. There's Christmas stuff in that person's house. They need to undecorate for Christmas. Or maybe it's Christmas all year in that house. I don't know. Whew, all I know is that Mrs. Claus scared me, and that's totally distracted me now. Anyway, look at this house. Oh my gosh. Okay, that house right there. What a cool house. I am jealous, I'm gonna admit it, of that house. And this feeds into what I'm talking about a little bit. Okay, so what am I talking about? I'm trying to remember. I'm getting distracted by the beautiful orange and, is that a Mustang under there? We don't have time to look at Mustangs. Oh my gosh, I'm getting distracted by this neighborhood. Goals. What was I gonna say? I wanted to be in a band. I wanted to play music. I wanted to be this serious person that was taken seriously and all this stuff. But the entire time, I've always been this spazzy, hyper, wacky, let's run around and be funny and sniff the bush and roll around on the floor and make the joke. And I've always been the person that I am now, pretty much. But I spent all these years with this dream and this vision for what I wanted to do. And it constantly and continuously failed. Now there's something to be said, I have to put this in here, there's something to be said for never giving up on your dream, for never stopping your quest, for going for it, for going for your goal. And there are people who struggle for 20, 30 years because they have a goal and they never give up and they achieve that goal. And there are people who are like, I once saw, behind the music on Aerosmith or something like that, and Steven Tyler's like, just stick around long enough. And I always used to think about that and think about all those people who persevered through all the trials and they finally made it. Like this person yesterday was like, I can't decide, you know, if he's like, if there is a God, quoting this person, if there's a God, I can't decide if I've been through all this horrible stuff and all these frustrating things and all these failures and bankruptcies and things because it's something I have to persevere through, or it's a sign that I should quit. And whether you believe in God or not, you just put that all aside. I was like, I think maybe it's a sign you should quit. Because even though there's something to sticking with your dreams, I've been able to do a lot of amazing things in the past year. I've been able to go to a lot of amazing places, do a lot of amazing things, meet a lot of amazing people, have a lot of amazing experiences I would have never had before in my entire life, precisely because I quit my band. For 10 years, it was write songs, record an album, go on tour. The tour would have bad nights, there would be shady deals and bad promoters and sketchy crowds, and my band would never be, oh, it's a Sometimes dog. We got a Sometimes dog back here. Oh, hi puppy. Anyway, we have all kinds of struggles and troubles. Okay, I thought I said struggles and strubbles, but I had those too. We would go and do all this crazy stuff and we'd run out of money. We'd have to borrow money to make merchandise sometimes and not be able to pay it back because you'd sell out the merchandise, but you'd have to use it for gas. It's the constant struggle of a band. If you've ever been in a band, you completely understand this. There's never enough money. There's never enough promotion. There's never a good enough show. Hey, look, it's my car over there. There's never, which means I've walked quite a ways today. It's just this constant ongoing struggle of putting everything that you have into the band. So you're constantly having to pump money into it. You're constantly having to call people and ask for money. Like, I don't want to make it sound like, you know, like a crazy, like a drug addict or something, but there is these times where you're out on the road, there's no other option but to call people and say, hey, we're out of money and we have to get from Connecticut down to Virginia tomorrow. You have to borrow money. Then you maybe the next day you make $2,000 or $3,000 at the show, but by the time you get back home, you don't pay people. Everybody's sick and tired of hearing you talk about your band. You're constantly having to fly or do all this crazy stuff. And for me, for my band, we had years where we were on record labels, where we were able to do these cool tours, where we were able to do all this cool stuff, but it was never super successful. It was never like sell out the House of Blues all across the country. It was never play in an arena, play in a stadium. And while there's something to be said for never give up on your dreams, my personal life became all about the band. The only friends I had were the people that were in bands, that were constantly living the dream, man, keep pumping the dream. Everybody else around me grew up, got married, bought beautiful homes. Probably not this home here, because this looks like it would probably cost in this neighborhood $2, maybe $3 million. Look at that. Anywhere else in America, you'd be able to pick up this home for a steal, but not here, not in the orange circle. Anyway, they all went and had these experiences. They'd be like, oh, I went to Europe, or I did this, or I did this other thing. And I think the reason why I missed out on a lot of opportunities, and I missed out on a lot of growing up and a lot of cool experiences, and I certainly had my fair share of them because I was in the band, but I missed out on a lot because I was in that band too. And I never once thought, I know this is kind of long-winded, but it's really hard to take 20 years worth of memories and things and compress it into one point. I'm sorry. But, oh wow, that's a cool house right there, isn't it? That's awesome. Oh, and look at this Craftsman guy over here. I think they're so cool and interesting. Look at this guy right here. They're all like cute little houses, like from Up or something. I want to live in that. Anyway, what was I talking about? I really think, here's the TLDR on this. I really think that I missed out on a lot of opportunities and I missed out on a lot of things in my life because I didn't quit. I couldn't call it a day and say, this isn't working. I have known a lot of musicians, I have to use musicians as my example, like I was saying, who just will not quit. I was at NAMM the other day, or a couple weeks ago or whatever, that big NAMM convention, big music convention, and I was there with a friend of mine who stopped being in bands full-time a long time ago. He used to have a recording studio and stopped doing that. Now he's working at this really great job on the corporate level for these big music companies, going and buying stuff. He gets to deal with musicians and new equipment and do all this stuff. He gets to constantly deal with bands and recording stuff. He gets to do something that he likes, basically, and be involved with the stuff that he likes. But he's got to make a career out of it precisely because he didn't think about playing music anymore. And I was walking around with the CEO of this company and meeting all these people who are into marketing and doing all these interesting creative things. And of course, I have a lot of friends who are very successful in the music business. So I have friends who are successful artists and stuff like that, and I have friends who are successful, managers and different things like that. So it's not that you can't be a success as a musician. Again, let me make that very clear. But I also saw a ton of people. I kept running into people there that I had known from my musician days, where I would strike up a conversation with them, and my life is so dramatically different now. I've been going around the world and traveling to Death Valley in a heat wave and making all these videos and meeting all of you guys and having all these crazy adventures. And I go to these people and they're like, oh yeah, man, we got 50 shows coming up this year, man. We're playing at this bar and that bar and the other thing. And I'm like, oh, cool. And they're talking about the same old people and the same old places and the same old things. They're wearing the same outfits. I mean, I'm pretty guilty of that too. Like, I'm wearing like a black t-shirt and the thing. And I think I wore these pants like 4 days in a row. But the point is, it was like really surprisingly, caught me off guard, boring. Like, I was listening to these people and they were like, how did you do that, man? You're so successful. There's all these people who would be, I'm not saying I think that of myself, I'm quoting these people, but they'd be like, we've been in this band for 10 years and we have 2,000 followers on Instagram. I don't understand how you have more Instagram followers than us. And I don't understand this and I don't understand that. And I honestly want to attribute everything that's happened this year in a way to quitting the band. And the reason is because while I wanted to be like, there's a side of my personality that's like the serious, thoughtful. I have all these deep thoughts and things to say and things to feel. I wanted to be this serious musician, artist person that people looked up to. I am a spaz. I am a dorky, ridiculous spazmatron who, it turns out, is into really nerdy stuff and connects with people on a completely different level than I thought I was going to connect with people at, if that makes any sense. And if I hadn't quit my band in 2013 and freed up my time and my mental energy and my limited amount of talent towards making videos and doing all this creative stuff and going out on the social media and meeting people and hanging out with my friend Adam the Woo and doing all this weird stuff, if I hadn't quit that band, I honestly probably would still be in the same boat doing the same thing, being bored. Because here's the thing, I'm not talking about people who are still psyched. There's some people, and again, I'm just using music as the example, there are some people I know who 10 years later will go to play the show at Ciro's Bar in Anaheim or some little place, and they're playing to 5 people still, and they're selling 1 t-shirt a year, and they are psyched, they are pumped, they love it. Some of my favorite bands are that way, and more power to them. I'm all about that. I'm talking about, for me and for a lot of these people I know, there's this weird creeping sense of despair and bitterness. Like, I've been trying and trying and trying and nothing's working and I keep having to try. It's almost like, it's one thing not to give up on your dream, it's one thing not to give up on your passion, but there's a dark side of saying that. Our whole culture and our whole, like, not to pick on Disney, but the whole like Disney happily ever after thing and our whole like thing is always, don't give up on your dream. Everyone can live their dreams and have their dreams. But the thing is, you can have more than one dream. You can have more than one inspiration and you can have more than one passion. And if you do one thing and you're sticking to one thing and you're never opening up your mind as to what's beyond that one thing or what other possibilities there might be in life, especially if you're failing at the one thing, you are going to be stuck there. So what happens is, I know a lot of people were musicians. That was the big thing in the 90s, and then the last decade was like, get a guitar, be in a rock and roll band, you know what I mean? Everyone can do it, be in a rock and roll, anyone can do it, be in a punk band or something like that. So this is my experience and my friends again. And what happened was, there was a lot of people that just really sucked at it. Like, just being honest, like I was one of them. A lot of people who just really sucked at it. They just weren't that talented. They weren't that extraordinary in that field. For whatever reason, their song lyrics maybe weren't interesting. There's a lot of singers who probably just shouldn't have been singers. And the thing was, because there's this whole mentality of never give up on your dream. If you give up, you're selling out, man. Like, whatever. I know a lot of people who just kept going. I met a lot of people who were really talented writers, even songwriters, but also writers, really talented photographers, really talented graphic designers, really talented, like almost like poets, really people that were really good with words, people who were really good at art, creating things with their hands, people who were really good probably at taxes and other boring stuff too that I'm not interested in, but people who had all these skills and talents and were really unique thinkers who all were trying to do the same exact thing. They were all trying to play guitar, they were all trying to be the lead singer, they were all trying to be in the same punk band, and they were all trying to copy the same artist. We were all trying to copy the same. We were trying to copy the Ramones, trying to copy the Clash, trying to copy these different bands because we wanted to be that thing. If you like something, you kind of want to emulate it and be it, right? That's the idea. And so you strike out, I'm going to be that. I want to live that dream. I want to have that thing. And there's nothing wrong with trying. But I kind of feel like there's something wrong with not at least asking the question, is this really what I want to do? Is this really what I'm good at? Is this really what I should be doing? I started doing the video thing because I like to play around with video. I always have, even since probably, I don't know, the late 90s. My dad bought this computer and we had whatever the old, before Adobe did Premiere, there was some other program way before that. We had this old editing program, and I've always liked to make videos. I used to do it with the old VHS camcorder things and make videos and tape trade with my friends and do stupid things like stand in the street. We had this sign when I was like in 7th grade, honk at the idiots, and film it and do all kinds of funny stuff like that before YouTube existed. Boy, I wish I had that videotape now. Anyway, so I've always dabbled in it and played around with it, but I never liked being on camera. I don't like the sound of my own talking voice. I can't stand it. That's probably why I make so many funny voices and all that stuff. I never liked it. I never pictured myself being a guy that could be on camera or any of that stuff. So when I started making some YouTube videos with my friends, it was all me behind the camera. I'll write something. I'll write a cool script. I'll direct it. I'll tell the other person what to say. You stand here and do this and do that and the other thing. And Adam came out. And I was still in my band too. Like, oh, my main focus is my band, man. You know, my band. It becomes part of your identity too. Like, well, if I'm not a photographer, then what am I? If I'm not the guy in the band, then what? I'm Justin Scarred. I'm in the Scarred, the band. That's who I am. Adam comes out and goes, dude, why don't you be in the videos? And I was like, nah, man, you know, like, I'm not good on camera. Nobody wants to see me and all this stuff. And he goes, I think literally the exact words, the way I remember was, bro, I'm doing the same shtick that you're doing in real life to nobody on camera, and it's fine. Like, we're basically the same person. I'm running around doing this stuff. People watch it and like it. If you want to make some videos, why not be in the videos, you know? Like, I don't know, you know, whatever. Like, I was thinking about maybe doing some videos about this or doing about that. I guess I could be in those ones. Some of them ended up being the Disneyland ones. And lo and behold, for whatever reason, at least for now, that's the thing that has worked the best out of all the things I've ever done. I've had the most fun doing it. I've met the raddest people, all these like-minded people who are into old toys and action figures and Disney rides and Star Wars and nerdy stuff with me, and I meet all these people who give me free hugs, and we wear bracelets of the power of the Cobra, and we wear the same t-shirts, and we rock the same hats, and we walk around, we have the funniest inside jokes together, and we have had a heck of a freaking time. Over the past year and a half, you and me have had so much fun doing all this stuff, and I get to do something now that not only is it creative, I can do whatever I want on Random Land channel. We can do like Mr. Dapper things, we can do characters, we can do all this stuff. We have these vlogs, we get to hang out together all the time. I get to share this with all kinds of people. There's this weird, like, there's one part of me that has like a honest to goodness like Catholic guilt complex and a kind of like self-deprecatingness where I have this thing where I always have to put myself down and like put myself lower because you can't be above other people or something. I never want anyone to think that I would think I'm above them or anything. But there's another part of me that throughout this, there's another part that was coming from the punk rock thing where it was like, oh, you have to be self-deprecating, and there's a little bit of false modesty there too, honestly, where you're, I'm just saying honestly, with all those bands where they're like, oh, you know, we're all the same, we're all equal, like, you know, oh, no one's higher than the other, we're all equals. It's true, we are all equals as human beings, but that is kind of being disingenuous to not admit that some really radical, awesome, cool things have happened in the past year, that we've had a lot of fun, that we've gotten to do extraordinary things in an extraordinary way, and it would be disingenuous and dishonest for me not to admit, or at least that this has been really kind of partially successful. See, it pains me to even like use words like that, but it has been. It's been so surprisingly successful, hanging out with you guys, doing all this cool stuff, getting to do a creative project that actually goes somewhere, and thousands of people will watch it, and we get to hang out and make friends and do all kinds of cool things. That's freaking exciting. I don't want to sit here and pretend like, oh, it's no big deal. It is a big deal. It's super fun, it's super cool, it's super awesome, and I'm having a great time. And all of that, I realized when I was talking to this person yesterday, who I honestly don't like that much. Like, we don't like each other. There's really no love lost between us, but we're both polite because we're both the kind of people who are like, not revenge takers or evil people, but just not fans of each other, right? And I'm telling this person who's like, honestly, just like so stressed out and just miserable. And I end up giving this person that I called to yell at a pep talk, where I explained all this stuff to him because he has no touchstone for what I'm doing. He's still stuck in the old band mentality, although this person was not with the band, but with his little business and stuff, where I'm like, dude, you have other talents and other skills. You have spent years of your life investing in something that never invests back into you. Open up your mind. There might be something else in this world that you are capable of doing that's even better, that you will have even more fun doing. If you had called me on the phone 5 years ago and told me, hey man, you're gonna quit your band, you're gonna end up being divorced, a whole bad thing's gonna happen to you, all this stuff, and you're gonna quit, and during that, you're gonna quit your band, you're going to take a camera, stick it in your own face, which by the way, at that time, it still does to a degree, but at that time would have completely mortified me. There's so many people who come up to me and go, I don't know how you do it, man. I could never stick a camera in my face and record myself, watch myself back, hear myself talk on camera, have people see me on camera. Oh, trust me, I understand. There's a little part of me still that's really like, there are people right there on the bus that are looking at me like, what the heck is that guy doing? I feel it too. I'm not insensible to that kind of weirdness. So if you'd have called me 5 years ago and told me you're gonna quit your band, you're not gonna be rocking cool shells and wearing 15 belts and putting up your hair in a mohawk and singing the old songs, the same songs over and over to the same people, I would have thought you were insane. I would have been like, that doesn't sound any fun. That doesn't even sound like fun. To me, it would have sounded like work. I would have been like, that sounds like such hard work. I wouldn't want to do that. For other people, they'd be like, God, I would love to do that. But for me at that time, I would have been like, that sounds miserable. I don't want to do anything like that. And I tried something new, and it ended up being, so far, this has been work-wise or creative project-wise or whatever. This is like the project of my life so far. It's so fun. So many cool things have happened. So many blessings, honestly. There's no other word for it. So many amazing blessings amidst so many amazing people. I'm going to France in 7 days. The entire time I was in a band, for 15 years I was in bands. And for 15 years my dream was, when my band makes it to me, like making it to me wasn't going to be like making millions of dollars. I never expected to do that. But making it to me was going to be, my band is going to go to Europe. I am going to go on tour to Europe, just like Ricky Ricardo and Lucy. I'm going to go to Europe one day, and I'm going to get to tour and play in a foreign country, and it never happened. I put out records in Europe. I almost got to there a bunch of times. I toured the United States, multiple, believe me, I've been all over this country. I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere, man. And I never made it to Europe with my band. Like, one thing after another kept happening, one bad record deal after another, disappointing record sales, we would get ripped off, we would lose money, somebody would quit the band, you'd have to start over with a new second guitar player. For one reason, after another, never got to Europe. Now, I'm making crazy weird videos for a year and people are calling me up. Hello, would you like to go to France? I would really enjoy seeing you make videos in France and I will pay for it. Like, the craziest opportunities and the wildest stuff is happening to me in my life because I quit. So I'm putting this out there not for the people who are struggling with the dream that you're really passionate about. I honestly believe that there's a lot to, don't give up, keep following your dream, keep following your passion, you know, work really hard and you will achieve success. I believe that's all true. But I'm talking about the people who are really struggling. Like, if you have spent, let's say, 15 years trying to be a professional painter and it hasn't happened, and you're getting to the point, and I'm asking those of you who are in this boat to really look inside yourself, and it could be 1 year, it doesn't have to be 15 years, it could be 3 months, and you look inside yourself and you find yourself becoming, like, honestly kind of bitter at the thing that you love. You find yourself honestly starting to hate the thing you love because you struggle with it so much and it's not successful and it's not working. Yeah, there's a lot to say for art's sake and all that stuff, but when you're trying to make it, you know what I mean, and it's not working, you find yourself getting frustrated and ending up hating the thing that you love, look inside of yourself and ask yourself, like, should I maybe do this part-time? Should I maybe look for other creative projects? Should I maybe look for something else that I should be doing? This is not meant to be a discouraging talk, but the old saying is the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and expecting different results. This person I happened to be talking to yesterday was telling me, like, I'm just like a failure, man. I'm a failure at this thing. I've been trying this thing that I've been doing over and over and over again for 1,000,000 years, and it's not working. And I was like, well, isn't that the definition of insanity? What I said was, if you weren't you, but knowing all the things that you know now, if you could be your next door neighbor and your next door neighbor's like, I'm gonna start a business just like yours, what would you give your advice to your next door neighbor? If he was like, I'm gonna go into 2016 and do everything you were gonna do, what would you say to him? It's like, oh, I would tell him to quit. And I'm like, then isn't the right answer maybe that you wanna quit? Isn't the right answer maybe that you wanna quit? So there's a lot of people I know that are that way with YouTube videos. As like I said, I came to it by accident. Oh, YouTube, you stick them on there and then people will see them? I don't know. I never watched PewDiePie. I never watched Shay Carl. I've learned about all these people. And by the way, look at these amazing houses. Oh my gosh, I love this street. This is Schaefer. It's the craziest street in Orange. And I just love all the little houses on it. It's so cool. I know a lot of people now. I learned about all that stuff, all these YouTubers and stuff. I'm still learning about them through Allie, through all of you guys. Like, oh, have you seen this person's videos and that person's videos? I never watched that stuff. I didn't know what a YouTuber was. I had never heard that word until after I started putting up videos on the internet. But I've met a lot of people now who are like, my goal is to be a YouTuber. I really want to be a YouTuber. I really want to be a vlogger. And then they start doing their vlogs. And then within a couple months, they'll be at lunch with me, or they'll come up to me in the park or something like that, and they'll start talking to me and go, I don't understand, man. Like, I just hate it so much. Just hate what? Like, I'm putting up videos and nobody's watching them. So then I tried doing videos about this. Then I tried doing videos about this. I tried doing about this, and just nobody watched them and nobody cares. And you can hear like the bitterness in their own voice. It's something that they really admired other people doing, that they really wanted to do, and I want to do that too. Something that they thought they were going to be passionate about, they really aren't. And you hear somebody who doesn't want to create a video, that doesn't want to make something, they just want it to be the end result of the thing. So in other words, like, I wanted to be Joe Strummer, right? Joe Strummer from The Clash. That's what I wanted to be. If I could have picked a guy and pointed to a celebrity and said, here's my influence, here's my guy, that's what I want to be. I'm not even kidding you. And by the way, that's Big Mama's house from the movie Big Mama's House. Take a look at it while I continue to talk to you. But I'm going to go avoid the porch with the acoustic guitar guy over there who's staring at me funny. If I could have picked one guy, I was like, I want to be Joe Strummer. I'm going to be Joe Strummer from The Clash. I'm going to write lyrics like that. I want to be like quasi-political and philosophical, and I can talk about theology and comparative religions and just be like Mr. Clever Pants, and I just want to be like a street poet, you know? Like, I'm just going to, like, people are just going to appreciate my art, and I'm going to be like legit and like streetwise, and I don't know. That's who I would have picked. I thought I could be Joe Strummer. Well, I couldn't. It turns out that my talents, or any kind of talents, the only thing I'm good at is being me. The only thing I'm good at is being a total spasmoid, being me for now. That is the thing that was a lot more successful, that I was a lot better at. I mean, everything, I get letters all the time now from people who are like, hey, your vlogs got me through a really tough time. The vlogs were even these were an extra thing that I did in between, so my kid could see what I was doing, and just to keep people up to date. Oh, people were curious what I was doing in between Random Land videos and other stuff. Oh, here's what I'm doing now, here's what I'm doing today. And it's turned into its own thing where people are sending me letters like, your vlog really made me happy, it inspired me, it got me through some tough times, I was depressed, you know, I didn't really have anyone around, and I was able to watch the vlogs and able to do this stuff. Or people tell me like, oh, I met my best friend because of your vlogs. We were both commenting on your vlogs. We liked them and all this stuff. Really cool stuff has happened because I gave up trying to be somebody else and just accepted being myself and doing something that I never would have thought was me. I don't know. It's really hard to explain the thought process behind it. But that's the thing, because I talk to him and because I meet so many people now who are like, man, I really tried to do a vlog thing, or I wanted to be a photographer, or I wanted to be this or that and the other thing. There's nothing wrong with trying anything. There's nothing wrong with trying and not giving up and being persistent. But if you're trying something long enough that you have the voice in your head that's like, don't give up, don't give up. But at the same time, inside, like, you really want to give up. All I want to say is it's okay to give yourself permission to try new things. You don't even necessarily have to quit the thing that you really wanted to do or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying quit. I'm not saying if you don't immediately have immediate success with something that you should quit. That is not what I am saying at all. Let's be very clear about this. But there are people out there, I know, just like me, who have been doing the same thing over and over again and just praying and just with every fiber of their being that something changes. Nothing will change unless you change it. What I've discovered is, what I've learned is, for the most part, I mean, some things can drop out of the clear blue sky, but for the most part, my experience leads me to believe that nothing in your life will change unless you change it. Or unless you at least open yourself up and make room for change. If you don't even have room in your life for change, if you are so fixated and stuck on even something that might have been good that you really wanted, but you, like, if you let that thing become such an idol to such a crazy degree that you can't let go of it, you're never going to have your hands empty enough to grab onto the next thing. Does that make sense? Like, there could be a rope coming down to save you from your misery, but because your hands are full of idols and things that even you may have cherished at one point, you may have really loved, but you have become a sick attachment to something, you're not going to be able to reach out and grab the rope. And if I hadn't been willing to go, you know what, I'm gonna put this band on the back burner, even though we weren't playing shows every day or anything like that, but just to mentally say, I'm gonna remove this from my mind and try something completely different, I would have never, ever, ever been sitting here on this weird curb talking to you while people stare at me and think that I'm super weird and try to run over my feet because my shoes are really bright and they don't like them. So, don't you wanna be like me? That's another thing too, is people leave me comments, they're like, man, tell me how to be just like you. I want to be just like you. And I don't want you to be just like me. Honestly, tell me how to do things just like you do them. Or people will come up to me and say, I started a YouTube channel and I want to do exactly what you did with Random Land. I want to do the exact same thing, but I'm gonna make Disneyland videos just like you. And my thing is like, I mean, that's cool, do whatever you want. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to be the best. I've learned that I don't want to be the best Joe Strummer that I can be. I don't want to be the best Fred Astaire that I can be. I don't want to be the best anything but the best me that I can be. And I guess part of it is knowing yourself and going, I just want to be the best me that I want to be. I don't want you guys to be like, I want to be the best Justin that I can be, or the best Adam DeWoo that I can be, or the best Mig V I can be, or the best Tyler, or the best whoever. Like, there's a lot of girls that I know who are like, oh, I want to look just like this girl. Look at this girl's outfit and her makeup and her face, and I want to look just like this girl. I need to look just like her. I need the same clothes. I need the same outfit. Be yourself. Be the best you. Find out what looks the best on you. Find out what you think looks the best on you, and have the courage, honestly, have the courage to let go of trying and struggling to be something that you like without letting yourself be yourself, if that makes sense. So I'm not saying don't try to be like Mickey Mantle. If you want to try to be Mickey Mantle and break his record, go ahead and try and be Mickey Mantle. Dress the same as him, do exactly the same thing as him. I don't even think there's wrong with anything wrong with, really honestly, with copying. All art is plagiarism to a degree. It's plagiarism adapted. So I'm not saying something like that. I'm not saying everything has to be original in the entire world. I'm wearing the same shoes everybody else is wearing. I'm wearing Levi's like everybody else. I'm not saying, oh, you gotta be super unique. Because in the punk world, this is a total digression here, but in the whole punk world, the whole thing was like, everyone has to be 100% unique. If you do anything like anybody else is doing, you're copying them. And yet from the outside, everybody looks at the punk scene in the entire world and goes, well, they all look the same. Look at them all being different the same way, right? You know what I'm saying? So you can take the whole like, oh, don't be like anyone else to a complete fault. Like, for example, Adam and I are friends. He was the one that was like, dude, you should do vlogs like me. Do unedited vlogs. You hold the camera, you hold the phone. There's only so many ways you can hold a phone and gesture with one hand, and people are like, you're doing the same thing. You guys are copying each other. I guarantee you, we hang out all the time. We talk alike. We think alike. We watch the same movies. We make the same jokes. We have inside jokes together and all that stuff. Neither one of us wants to copy the other one. It just ends up happening that way. So I'm not saying anything bad about that. There's nothing wrong with vlogging because other people are vlogging. There's nothing wrong with playing music because other people are playing music and all that stuff. But what I'm really saying is, have the courage, take heart, and have the courage to think like, just because your vlog isn't working, just because your Instagram account that you wanted to do isn't working, or your fashion idea isn't working, doesn't mean that you're done as a person. I guess that's what I'm getting to. I probably should have started with this. It doesn't mean that you're finished. It doesn't mean that you're washed up. It doesn't mean that there's no hope. Honestly, it may just mean that that one thing doesn't work. If you're, I don't know, if you're in a bad relationship, it doesn't mean that you as a person aren't working. It means that that relationship doesn't work. If you're trying to be a painter and you're trying over and over again, you can never sell a painting, it doesn't mean that you as a creative person isn't working. It means that painting isn't working for you. If you've been struggling and you've been in a band for 20 years and you can't get any traction, you're selling less albums than you ever have before, maybe being in a band is done. Maybe it isn't working anymore. Maybe being in that band or doing that thing, much like for me, maybe that was the thing that prepared you for what you were eventually going to do. This is Mark Twain right here on my arm. No, it's not Tesla and it's not Edgar Allan Poe. That's Mark Twain there. Mark Twain is the greatest American author in history, ever. He wrote the great American novel, is Huckleberry Finn. There's a lot of people who will disagree with me with that. We can have a whole disagreement at a separate time. But he was called the Lincoln of our literature for a reason. This is the guy that gave America a voice. He was the first rock star in the United States. I mean, the massive celebrity. Mark Twain cigars, Mark Twain freaking elastic pants straps. Like, they really marketed the heck out of that guy in his own time. He was one of the first pop culture phenomenon, really, in the world. Mark Twain, very successful guy. Did not start writing his books till his 30s. Did not get married until he was in his mid-30s to the love of his life, who was, I think, 19. Didn't start writing the novels that he's known for, like Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, till his 40s and 50s. His first books, which were really successful, were travel books. Mark Twain didn't have his children that he loved until he was way older. Like, your life isn't over. He tried so many things. He was a riverboat pilot. He was a silver miner. He worked in a quartz mill. He was a newspaper journalist. He tried all kinds of different things before he ended up becoming a writer. First by writing for newspapers, and then by writing travel letters to newspapers, and then by putting them together in books. And you know what's really funny? Is that Mark Twain was this amazing author. He wrote these amazing stories that are beloved by millions of people. Love those stories. Walt Disney was inspired by them, creating Tom Sawyer's Island, the Mark Twain Riverboat, all that kind of stuff. All these people that took inspiration from that and became writers and authors and creative people because of Mark Twain were inspired by him. Pretty much after he became a successful author, all Mark Twain could ever think about for the rest of his life was how he wanted to be a businessman. I want to invent something. I want to be an inventor. And he was always completely unsuccessful and kept losing entire fortunes over and over again. He once went into bankruptcy and had to tour the world giving lectures, which he hated. Oh, he was also a lecturer, by the way, and a good one. Basically going on tour, which he hated, dragging his family around the world to get out of debt, because he kept investing in bad companies because he wanted to be like an inventor and a business tycoon and all this stuff. And he could not accept, like, you know what, the thing that I'm good at is this, you know. So it's funny because we're not always self-aware enough to say, do you know, this thing that I'm doing here is fun, I like it, but it's starting to turn to bitterness inside of me because I'm not maybe any good at it and it's really not working out that well. So what I'm saying is, it's really good to be encouraged and strong and keep, you know, building a wall brick by brick, and remembering that the man who says he can't do something and the man who says he can are usually both right and all that stuff. And so there's nothing wrong with trying. There's nothing wrong with struggling. I'm certainly trying all the time. I'm still trying to make every day count, doing the vlogs and doing the videos and trying as hard as I can to do what I'm doing. And I'm not going to give up. But at the same time, I wouldn't have got to do anything cool that I've got to do in the past year or two. The people are like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I wouldn't have got to do any of that if I hadn't let go of that thing that just was stuck in my head, that I've got to be this guy. There might be something completely amazing, completely different, completely wonderful around the corner for you. And that goes for everything. That goes for relationships. Maybe you're lonely, maybe you have no girlfriend, no boyfriend, no whatever it is, and you just think, oh, I better call up my old ex and get back together with them because they're the only person that's going to talk to me. Or friends, maybe you hate your friends. I was at a point before in my life where I couldn't stand my friends. I didn't even like them, and I've made completely different new friends. You have to be willing to let go of the past a little bit, or at least let go of it enough to open yourself up to new opportunities. That's basically the TLDR of it. I'm sorry that it took me so long to talk about it. I really appreciate you guys, as ever, coming with me to talk about all this stuff. I really wish that I could have like put that into words betterer. I feel like there's a lot of people who will probably misinterpret me and get angry. Like, you're saying I should just quit. Nobody should live their dreams. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying you might have a bigger and better dream if you let go of the first thing. If Walt Disney had been stuck on Alice comedies and said, if the Alice comedies really didn't, you know, like, I gotta make those work. I better make the live action mixed with the animation Alice comedies work, right? For those of you who know about the Walt Disney thing. And if you don't know about Walt Disney, Google Walt Disney, the Alice comedies. If he had said, I'm gonna make that work come hell or high water and there's nothing else that's gonna happen here, he would have never come up with Oswald, and he would have never come up with Mickey Mouse, and we would never have Disneyland. If he was like, I gotta make animation work no matter what, I'm gonna make this color animation pay for me, and I'm just gonna stick with that and only do that, we wouldn't have Disneyland, would we? And then we really wouldn't have these vlogs together. So you got to be open-minded, because there might be something else around the corner. Life is not just one note. Life is a symphony, and it's got all kinds of amazing parts to play in it. So maybe you're the bass section. You can't just play one note forever, or you won't have a part in the chorus. Do you know what I'm saying? Feel free to be creative. Think of something new. If your vlogs and your videos aren't working or something like that, because that's a lot of what people ask me about lately, I would just say try something different. Try doing something else. Try being a photographer. Maybe be a filmmaker. Maybe you're a good editor and you should be editing for somebody else. Maybe you're a good host and you should only be hosting videos and somebody else should be writing content for you. Maybe instead of vlogging, you would be better in a skit show or in a food show, or maybe instead of, oh, how come nobody watches my Disney videos? Maybe you shouldn't be doing videos about Disney. Maybe your thing is you should be doing videos about trees. I don't know, but there's a lot out there in this world, not just two things. So just because you're inspired by something doesn't mean that you have to do that thing. You can go and find something else to be passionate about, something else to be creative about, something else to be talented at. You're not limited. You're only limited by the breadth and the scope of your imagination. And if your imagination is only focused on one thing and you're not opening yourself up to other possibilities, you will probably fail. There's one-track mind is good if you're on the right track. But if you're on the wrong track, one-track mind can be pretty dangerous, right? So just saying, just trying to offer a little bit of a different perspective, because normally I'm the guy that's like, go for your dreams. But just having dealt with somebody who is in the same place, the same kind of money troubles, the same kind of creative struggle, the same stress, the same nervous breakdown happening over and over again after 5 years, man. And like I said, there's no love lost between me and this person, but it just made me, honestly, like my heart went out to him, because I've been in that spot before where I spent 15 years in a band touring and doing this. All I wanted to do was be able to work hard. I wanted something that I could work hard at, but also be able to be creative and have adventures, because I can't sit still. I mean, look at me, I can't sit still. I have to wiggle and move around and all that stuff, and I'm like that in a bigger sense. Like, I like to move around, I like to travel, I like to go do these different stuff. It's the only way that I can get my brain fired up and my juices flowing and all the weirdness will come out of me, is by moving around and wiggling and being weird. And that was the thing, is I sat still and did the same thing over and over again. I thought, I have to be in a band to do that. There's no other way to do that. What am I going to be, a traveling salesman? The only way I can ever do anything creative, the only thing that works, is if I'm in a band. That's it. And I was wrong. I was wrong. And if you'd asked me then, I would have said, no, because you can never give up, man. You got to never give up. That's giving up. Sometimes it's not giving up. Sometimes it's simply accepting that, okay, this is what it is. Now I'm going to try something else. I've taken this as far as I can go, and now I'm going to try something else. So just don't be afraid to try new things. That's the point. Don't be afraid to try new things. Let's start the whole vlog over. It's a sometimes vlog. It's a vlog. It happens sometimes. Hello, everybody. Don't be afraid to try new things. All right, make sure to subscribe for some more vlogs. I will see you guys in the future. Screwing around or screw around too much. We'll be screwing around tomorrow, because I don't want to have any more long-winded pep talks with anybody. But that's my pep talk for the day. It's watch out for bees. Watch out for the bees. Don't be afraid to try new things. Do your duty. Then you can go home and sleep well. And by the way, I just bought this house. I'm totally lying, because I could never afford it. But I want to. So hopefully, you know, my dream is to live there. But I'm going to be open-minded about it, just in case someday I get the opportunity to live right there. Or maybe in Big Mama's house, because Martin Lawrence made a movie there once. So we can talk about that on another time. Go home or sleep well. Live fast, I put out Spreadshirt.com. If you use the code St. Paddy's, STPADDYS, St. Patty's right now, I think you get 15% off, which everyone's like, I'll wait for free shipping. I'm pretty sure if you get 15% off a big order and there's no minimum for this thing, it's actually cheaper than if you get the free shipping. I don't know. But people always ask me, when's the coupon code coming? There it is. And that kind of ruined the ending of the vlog. But it's okay, because we were able to walk a little bit closer to the house Paul Giamatti is in the movie Big Mama's House, peering out at Big Mama's house itself, right there where Martin Lawrence wore a fat suit and was obnoxiously annoying in a hilarious way, right there in Orange, California. How about that? Right here on the corner of Maple and Schaefer in Orange, California. Come see it for yourself. If you come see this for yourself, tag me on Instagram. Big Mama's House. Not the greatest movie of a generation, but probably the second greatest. After, I don't know, something gooder than Mouse Hunt.